All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. My name is Megan Winters, and I work for the Ohio Pork Council. So I have the privilege to work with pig farmers across the state of Ohio. And today we have with us farmer Nathan Schrader. And so Nathan is going to give us a barn and help us understand a little bit better of what he does on a day-to-day basis. So I will turn it over to Nathan and let him introduce himself and tell you a little bit about what it's like to be a pig farmer.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining me, giving me a chance to let me show you what I get to do every day. And this is my pig barn. And as you can see, there's a lot of pigs in there. And I'm going to go through and just explain what I do every day when I come to this barn and check on these guys and gals. So one of the first things we do, and this barn is called a nursery. So we'll get these pigs from a mother barn, and they're 2 weeks old when we get them, and they're about 15 pounds. So they're real little guys and gals when they come here. And we'll raise these pigs till they're about 45 pounds, and they go to another barn called a finishing barn, and really big. This barn is designed for little guys and gals to help them grow. And one of the first things I do when I come to this barn is I come into the shower. So when I get there to the barn, I'll get into the shower. That way I get any kind of dirt and any kind of germs off of me that could ever come into my barn and get anybody sick. That's the last thing any farmer, especially me, wants to do is cause any problems for any of our animals. So we'll leave all of my outside clothes in the shower, and I'll come into the barn, and I got a special set of clothes that I wear in the barn all the time. These clothes that are in the barn never leave the barn. They always stay in the barn. They get clean in the barn, and these clothes are what we wear in here. That way they never go outside and get any kind of dirt or anything on them that we could bring back into the barn. So when I come in here, one of the first things I do is check the computers, and we'll have a chance to look at them later, just show you how many computers it takes to control everything in this barn, from the air to the temperature to the feed to the water. But we'll look at that a little later. But I'll come in and make sure everything's okay with it. And then I'll walk in, and I'll walk into this room, and we'll kind of pan over to show you what the room looks like. In this barn, there are 4 rooms exactly just like this that has pigs in them. So we'll walk down the alleyway there, and we'll check each pen, and we'll take time, and we'll check every pig in each pen. We'll make sure everybody looks happy, and there's plenty of feed and plenty of water for them. And make sure the room's plenty warm, especially when they first come in. You know, we'll have this barn, it'll be 80 degrees in this barn. So these baby pigs, they like to be warm and all snuggle up with each other. One thing I can show you too, those round looking things right there, those are called heat lamps. And when we have baby pigs in here, we'll lower them down closer to the ground, and it's just a real bright bulb that gets good and hot. That way, if the baby pigs want to be a little bit warmer, they'll lay right underneath of that bulb and get real nice and warm. But it also gives them enough space in the pen, and if they don't want to be that warm, they want to get away from it a little bit, there's plenty of room to go away from it and cool down a little bit. Along with them heat lamps, we also have a couple really big heaters in here to keep it that warm and to keep everybody happy. Now that big silver looking box there, that is the feeder. So on the outside of this barn, we have these really big feed containers, and the computer will turn on a motor and a feed line, we call it, and it'll bring from the outside of this barn out of those containers, and it'll come down into the room with those little pieces of pipe sticking down into that big silver box, and that's what feeds these pigs. Now that's done all automatically by the computer that's in the office. Those feeders will run about 8 times a day. So they never run out of feed in this barn. One thing they always have is good warm temperatures in the winter, cool temperatures in the summer, plenty of feed and all the water they can drink. Next to that big silver box, the pig's drinking out of the water right there. Now that water, all that is a little, and they go up there and push with their nose, and that fills up a little bowl of water, and they get to drink it out. And that's there 24/7, all day and all night long. Whenever they're thirsty, they can feel free to walk right over there and take a drink. Now, when we first start these pigs, when they first come in, they're on some pellets that look like that, and they'll get about a 2 to 3 day ration of that. And when those are about run out, we'll start up those fines, and like I said, it brings the feed in from the containers outside into the barn. And that pitcher that's on there right now, and that lady's holding, is ground up corn and soybeans and some other vines that we feed our pigs. So the same corn and the same soybeans that I grow out in my field gets ground up and gets to feed all our livestock that we have on the farm. Now, one thing you might be thinking is, where do these guys go to the bathroom at? Well, they go to the bathroom right in their pen, and if you see the floor, it's a plastic floor. It looks like there's little holes in it. And that's exactly right, is that those are holes in the floor, and there's a really deep concrete basement underneath of this building that collects everything when they go to the bathroom. And me as the farmer, what I do with that is a great source of organic fertilizer for me to use on my fields. So we will pump that out in the summertime, and we are able to spread that onto our crops and on our fields for fertilizer use to help grow the corn and the soybeans to help feed the pigs. So it's one big continuous flow that we get to eat on our farm. Is we grow the crops to help grow our pigs, and we use that fertilizer to help grow the crops the next year. Now, guys, like I said, they'll stay here till they're about 45, 50 pounds. And actually, they're pretty close to leaving. They're actually going to take a big trip on Monday to go to finishing barn, to where those finishing barns are made for the real big, where they get 300-pound pigs, just very big and strong animals. So, but what happens when we come here Monday morning, we'll start these guys and gals out, and we'll run them down a hallway, and there'll be a truck way down at the end of the door, and they'll go jumping on the truck, and we'll load up so many, and they'll take a nice trip to finishing barn, whether it's one of the neighbors' barns close by or not too far road they go to. And then once we get all of this barn done, and there's a lot of pigs to move out, and when we're all done moving them pigs out, we will come into here and we take pressure washer, which is a machine that sprays out some really fast water. Well, there's a good picture of them running on a trailer right there, and that's exactly what we do when we load them out. Is they'll go in that trailer and they'll head to the other barn. But like I said, once we're done, we will clean this barn, every room, every feeder, every drinker. Once we're done cleaning it, it is just like a brand new building again, because we want to have everything clean and perfect for the next babies that come in. And then once we get that done, the next babies come in, we heat the building up to 80 degrees. Whether it's super cold outside or not, this barn is always at 80 degrees. Now in the summertime, when it's really super hot, we still keep it at 80 degrees, but when it's like 100 degrees outside, some things we do to help keep it cool in here is we have some really big fans on the wall. And when it's hotter than that 80 degrees, when there are babies in here, those fans are turned on. And it'll actually suck fresh air from the ceiling, from the outside down into the room, to create a lot of air movement in here. It's a very comfortable barn to walk in when it's very hot outside. It's still warm in here, but there's a lot of air moving in it. I'd rather be in this barn than outside on a hot summer day anytime.
So Nathan, I have a quick question for you. And if any of the teachers have questions, I would invite them to ask it in the chat down below. and Nathan will answer those questions for us. So if any of your classrooms have any questions, please feel free to ask them, and Nathan is happy to answer them for you. But my question for Nathan is, he talked about when he gets to the barn in the morning, he has to shower and put on a special set of clothes. So I'm wondering, what do those barn clothes look like? Would you be able to show us, Nathan?
Yeah, give me a second here and I can show you. So hi, everybody. This is me. And these are the clothes that I wear in the barn. It's just a blue set of coveralls, and they last a very long time, and we keep them cleaned up. And like I said, they stay in the barn forever, and that is what we wear.
Great, thanks, Nathan. So we have a question from Miss Tabuni's class, and they would like to know, what is the time span from when the 2-week-old pigs arrive to the time when they are 45 pounds and leave for the finishing barn? That's a great question.
That is a really good question. So yes, like I said, when we get them when they're right around 2 weeks old, and I'll say that again, I'll say 2 weeks to 20 days, right in that ballpark. Once we get these pigs, we keep them for about 45 to 50 days, and they'll be right around that 50-pound mark. So they grow really, really fast. They got great nutrition. They got great feed. All they want to eat and all they want to drink. So these guys, I'm pretty jealous of them. All they have to do, and I think boys and girls, we all want to do this, is they get to eat, drink water, and sleep all day.
Sounds like a pretty good life to me. Miss Ryan's class would like to know, Nathan, how many pigs do you have in your barn?
So this barn holds about 5,000 pigs altogether. Like I said, there's 4 rooms in this barn, and we total right at 5,200. So there's a lot of boy and girl pigs in this barn.
Nathan, what's your favorite part of being a pig farmer?
My favorite part is when the baby pigs come in, getting them in here. I really enjoy taking care of the little babies, getting them started, making sure everybody's warm and healthy and happy. And that's my most favorite part about being a hog farmer.
Miss Wolf's class would like to know how you heat your barn.
Our barn is heated. Like I said, we have them heat lamps that we drop down when they're for the baby pigs. But I also go over and look. You see that silver box hanging down from the ceiling there? That's one of the heaters. So it's a propane heater, and there's 2 of them in each room, and that is what supplies the bulk of the heat that's in this building.
Great. So kind of like the heaters in your house, I suppose.
Just like heaters in your house, yes.
Yeah. So we have a student that would like to know, what type of pigs do you have, and do you ever get different breeds of pigs in your barn?
So our pigs is a mix of a few different breeds. There's no one select breed, and there's a great picture of the different ones in there. But we have some Yorkshire, Chester White, and I think there's a little bit of Duroc in some of these. Sometimes you'll see they'll have different ones that come in from different mother barns. They'll have some of the Hampshire coloring into them, but the bulk of them is the normal, the pink looking, white looking pigs, just like that.
Nathan, how often do you, I know you talked about how fast pigs grow, and you kind of talked about the process of getting new pigs and cleaning your barn, but how often do you get new pigs into your barn?
So every, right around, and it's different every group, but right around every 6 weeks, 6 to 7 weeks, we'll be cleaning and getting ready for a new group. So throughout the year, it's 6 to 7 different groups of pigs that I have in our barn.
Great. So Miss Wolf's class would like to know more about their waterers. Would you be able to walk over and show us how they're able to get water out of their little water fountain?
You betcha. See, it looks like just like kind of a big bowl, and they'll put their nose in there on this little button down here. Let me see if I can get a good picture. And when they push it, it starts filling up with water, and it lets them drink. So whenever they want it, they'll come push that little button, and they'll come get a drink of water.
How old are the pigs that you have right now?
These guys I have had for about 44 days right now. So they will be about 47 days on Monday when we start loading them out.
We have another question in our chat. Do you get rid of all of your pigs at the same time, and where do they go? That's a great question.
Sure. So our pigs in this nursery, when we start loading out, within 3 days, 4 days, the barn is empty. And that gives us an opportunity to take time and go through the whole barn and clean it down real good and get it ready for the next group. And when they leave here, they'll go to another barn called a finishing barn. In a finishing barn, that barn is designed for, and it's made for the pigs to get real big. And like you said, when they're full grown, they can be right at 300 pounds, and they're very, very strong animals. And that barn is designed to it's equipped to handle those size of pigs. So they'll go to a finishing barn after they leave here.
Great. So it looks like your pigs are kind of playful and like to run around their pens, but Mrs. Klein's class would like to know, do any of the pigs do any special tricks?
I was asked this question probably about a year ago from another class, and I said, probably the best trick that I've ever teach them is when I come in here in the morning, they all stand up and smile at me.
All right. So we have another question in our chat room, and it says, what is the best part of your job?
The best part of my job is getting the baby pigs in and getting them started off so they're healthy and happy. That's the most fun that I have, is when we get a new group into our barns.
Do you ever give your pigs a bath?
I do not give them a bath.
Mm-hmm. So I think that there is a belief that pigs are dirty animals, but by the looks of your pigs, Nathan, it looks like they're pretty clean.
Yeah, pigs are very, very clean animals. They're not outside rolling around the mud where there's been some pictures. They look really dirty and kind of gross looking, but these pigs this is the dirtiest they'll ever get. And they're pretty clean. So they're clean and healthy and happy. And like Megan said, they get to play all day and kind of jump on each other and just have fun. And that one seems like he wants to take a nap. Oh, he's back up again, but they'll lay there and take a nap and go eat something, go drink something, and go take another nap.
Do you ever name your pigs, or how do you keep track of who's who?
Boy, there's a lot of pigs to name in here. I try, but I'm getting old. I kind of forget some of that stuff. So no, I guess I don't have a name for everybody. But if you guys can think of it, I need 5,200 names. But if you can think about it, let me know.
Nathan, what's the least favorite part of being a farmer?
My least favorite part is when it's planting season or harvest season and we're emptying barns and getting them ready. My least favorite part about it is the time away from my family. This is not a 9 to 4 job or an 8 to 5 job. It's sometimes 13, 14, 15 hours a day, and you get very tired and you miss seeing my kids and my wife, and that's the hardest part about it. But along with myself, my brother, and kind of a lifetime long friend, we operate our pig farm and the actual grain farming. So we have help around to do that, but it's still a lot of time away from our families when it gets real busy. That's the hardest part to get used to, but everybody works together and we get it done.
Yeah, definitely. farmers of all types put in all sorts of hours every day to make sure that we are able to put the highest quality food on our table, whether that's pork or beef or corn or soybeans. So farmers have a really important job within the world, and we're very thankful for the work that they do. We have another question in our chat room, and it says, how many stalls are there and how many pigs are in each pen?
So each room has 52 stalls in it. So I'd be in all 4 rooms, I believe that's 200. You check my math skills teacher, but I think that's 208 pens or stalls. And each pen roughly has right around 25 to 26 pigs in them.
Great. So so each pen is maybe kind of like the size of these students' classrooms, maybe.
Oh, a little bit smaller than that. I mean, the pens are probably, if you can picture how tall a basketball rim is, that's how long and how wide my pens are.
Okay.
So if you can imagine how high that is, that's how long my pen is.
We have another question. How big is the truck that you transport your pigs in? This is another great question.
So if you ever see the big semis that drive down the road with those really long trailers on it, that's how big of a truck that comes and gets our pigs. So it's a really big semi and a really big trailer. And right there is a good picture of what the back of that trailer looks like. Just like that. The ones that we have, that one has a pickup on it. The ones that we have come with those big semis.
Great. We have a couple more questions. Miss Ryan's class would like to know, what does the word agriculture mean?
Agriculture, the technical definition, maybe you'll help me with, Megan, but agriculture to me means I get to give back. All the work that I put into raising my crop and raising our livestock and our animals on our farm, I get to give back to families to eat, to enjoy life. And that agriculture to me means that. It means an enjoyment of giving back to anybody I can give back to.
Yeah, I think that's a great definition, Nathan. I would say that agriculture is a community of farmers and people who support farmers in order to relay the message of what they do on their farms to consumers and the general public, like your classrooms are. So I think that's a great definition, Nathan. So we have another question here. It says, you mentioned the finishing barn being local. Are the barns where the baby pigs come from also close by? And where is your farm located?
Sure. Our farm will start off as located in northwestern Ohio in a little town called Leipzig. And we're a small community, and that is where we are at. Our baby pigs come from the mother barns, and the mother barns are probably, just a little bit over an hour drive away. So when them baby pigs get on the trailer, they got about an hour drive to come out to our barns. And the same with the finishing barns. And we got a few close ones here, but the other ones we go to, they're all right around within an hour drive away from our barns. So they have a little bit of a trip, but not too much.
That's great. So Nathan, you were talking earlier about some of the technology and the equipment that it takes to run your barn and take care of your pigs. Would you be able to show us some of that technology?
Yeah, let me walk into the office and we'll show you what all the computers look like.
It looks very, very clean in your barn.
We clean the office every weekend, and the more you clean it, just the better it is. But these are the controllers or the computers that run the whole barn. Not your normal looking computer that you would think of, but that is a computer in here that controls everything for each room. And it has a fun little display on there. It lets me know at a glance of everything that's happening in my barn. Now, one neat thing that these computers do is if I go home, I can also get on my phone and log into this barn, and I'm able to control and to watch what's happening. And also on that same note, if there's ever a problem and I'm not here at this barn, you know, I would never know about it, but this barn has an alarm system on it, and it will email me and it will call me if there's a problem over here. Whether it's during the day or in the middle of the night, it doesn't matter, but it will call me if there's a problem, and I have to come over and check it out and see what's going on.
That's great. We have another question in the chat, and it says, how do you feed all 5,000 pigs? How long does it take?
So the feeders are set to run 8 different times a day, and that first initial fill of the feeders takes about 20 minutes, but other than that, they run about 10 minutes to fill everything back up. So that is all done automatically by this computer. And like I said, if something doesn't work, it calls me and lets me know, and I come right over and fix it.
Great. So Nathan, why is it so important to keep your barn clean? And I know that you talked about when you first get to the barn, you have to change clothes and take a shower, but why is that so important in your barn?
So the last thing any farmer, especially me, wants to do is make any of our pigs sick from anything that I would bring in from the outside. And that is the reason why we clean it so much, and that's the reason why we do not bring our outside clothes in. I don't want to be bringing any kind of germs or dirt or anything into the barn that could ever get my animals sick.
Yeah. So we have another question, a couple more questions actually. The first one is, what is the length of your pigs right now? I think they might be referring to like maybe the size of them.
How long they are?
Yeah.
Oh, they're probably, if your teacher would hold her arm out, that's probably about how long they are. And they stand, they probably stand halfway up to your knee if you would stand up. So they're short little guys and not too long yet. But when they get real big, they'll be as tall as about halfway as I am. They'll stand up to my waist, and they're probably about 3 foot long, maybe just a touch more, or probably 4 foot long when they're big. So they get really big. And there's a good picture of the sizes of them.
So Nathan, when you get your baby piglets in, how much do they weigh? About 15 pounds or so, or smaller?
They weigh, now when we get pigs in, like I said, it's always different on the group, but they're anywhere from 11 to 15 pounds. So right in that ballpark is how big they are when they come in.
Okay. So we have a couple more questions. The first one is, what are some changes in pig farming since you got started, and where do you see the future of pig farming going?
So some of the changes we've seen is the technology side of it, and I just showed you some of that with that computer. You know, that not too long ago, there was nothing like that would ever let you know if there was a problem, or where I could log into it at home on my phone to look at it. So technology is the biggest change that you've seen out there. And going forward in the future, you know, definitely technology, you know, able to spot if you have problems in the barn and making sure everybody's healthy faster. So technology is the biggest thing right now in a farming operation to look at.
That's great. So we have a couple more questions. Miss McFarland's class would like to know, do you show your pigs, and can the pigs ever make you sick?
I have never gotten sick from my pigs, and I have some friends that show pigs, but I never have.
Great. All right, do we have any other questions from our classrooms for Nathan? Nathan, we'll give our teachers a couple more minutes to ask any other questions, but is there anything that we haven't seen or that you would like to tell us more about in your barn?
You pretty much seen everything. Like I said, this barn has 4 identical rooms that look just like this. And it's a lot every morning and every afternoon to walk through and just make sure everybody's healthy and happy.
Oh, we have a couple more great questions. The first one is, does the vet ever come to your barns for checkups or sick visits?
So our vet, yes, does visit the barn. I wouldn't say regularly, but he does come out and check our herd health, just so he can keep an eye on it too. So he does visit out here just to make sure, one, we're doing a good job and all the pigs are healthy and happy.
Great. And then we have another question that says, how do you handle their waste?
So if you remember, I showed you that floor has little holes in it. Everything goes through that floor into a big basement. And on the outside of the building, there's these little, we call them pump out stations, is where I can put a big pump on a tractor down into that basement, and it basically sucks everything up, and it goes into our tankers that go out in the field. And once they get into the field, we do a lot of soil testing. That way we're not wasting any of our fertilizer, and we're able to utilize it to the fullest. And we'll apply to that field what it needs depending on where it is in the field. It may be, more in one spot, less in one spot, but we'll apply to what that field needs.
Great. Nathan, you'll probably start planting your crops soon, right?
We are about, depending on if it starts raining or not again, but a good month away from getting things pulled out of the building. Right in our area, it's usually about the 3rd or 4th week of April is when we start getting serious about planting. So yeah, it's getting here pretty quick.
Yeah. So we have a couple more questions that we'll go ahead and answer. The first one is, how is the water pumped into the watering bowl? Where does it come from originally?
So it starts off with a really deep well that we have out at this farm. That well is a little over 400 feet deep, and that's where all the water comes into. It has a big pump down at 400 feet. It pumps it into the building, and that's where all the water comes from for the pigs.
Great. Our next question is, do your pigs need vaccines?
So generally, our pigs stay very, very healthy. For all the extras we do with cleaning the building and showering in before we come in and keeping our clothes in there. On occasion, there's a pig that gets sick, and we treat that pig. We'll pull that pig out of the pen that he's in, and we'll put him into a separate pen that we call a small pen or a sick pen. That way we can just keep him separate from the whole general herd. We can keep track of him of where he is at all times, and to make sure he's responding and doing good.
That's great. Nathan, can you remind us again what kind of pigs that you have?
The breed of pigs? Mm-hmm. This is a mixed breed of pigs that I get. I think they are, can you bring that picture back up?
Yes.
I can't quite remember there's 3 different ones. We have part Duroc and some Chester White and some Yorkshire. I believe that's in all the pigs right now. So it's a few different kinds.
Great. We have another question that says, do your pigs ever go outside, and what does the outside of your barn look like? And we actually have a picture of Nathan's barn that we can show you so that you can see what it looks like on the outside. But Nathan, do your pigs ever go outside?
The only time our pigs go outside is when they're on that trailer ride. And that's done for a couple of reasons. One, this time of year when it's cold and rainy out, if they're outside, they're out in that cold and rain too. And what a chance for them to get sick there. Here I can keep them warm and dry and healthy. And the same thing in the summertime. If they're out there in the summer in that 100-degree heat, there's nowhere for them to go. So inside this building, I can control the air that runs through this thing and keep them comfortable and away from the sun when it's like that. So they stay in the barn all the time.
Great. Yeah, just like your skin in the summertime, pigs can very easily get sunburnt. So that's another reason that farmers keep their pigs in those climate controlled barns so they can stay happy and healthy. We have another question that says, do you breed pigs in your barn?
We do not. That's all done in the mother barns, we call them.
Yeah, that's great.
And that barn is specially designed for that reason. It's a lot of stuff going in there, but that is where everything like that is done.
Yeah, so the farmers that we work with at the Ohio Pork Council might be responsible for, like Nathan said, a mother barn, or they might be responsible for a finisher barn, or they might be responsible for a nursery like Nathan is in. So there are different pieces and parts and different types of pig farms and barns that we get to work with in our organization. So thank you, Nathan, for walking us through your nursery barn and giving us an inside look at what you do every day. So at this time, if everyone would like to wave goodbye to Nathan and thank him for taking time out of his busy schedule to give us a tour of his barn, I appreciate it.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.